Well, with just a week away from the 55th National Conference of the African National Congress, the state of leadership in South Africa remains under the spotlight. Halfway through the year, we reflected on the state of leadership in the country with former student activist and commentator Mcebo Dlamini, where at the time he referred to South Africa as a movie. And almost 6 months later, we are asking ourselves deep questions about the state of leadership in the ongoing energy crisis and the country's reputation in the global community. He joins us this morning to reflect on the many things that are happening in the country. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and good morning to our viewers. That's a Galaxy.
I know, not at all. That's So when we last spoke, we touched on a number of issues, and like we told our viewers, including the issue of leadership. With just a few days to go before members of the African National Congress will sit to elect new leaders into positions, if we go beyond the politics, what do people need to consider if we're talking about the best interest of South Africa?
Well, look, we have issues in South Africa. And the biggest problem that we have is the failures of the African National Congress. They have failed in producing leaders. The ANC of Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, produced leaders. They had a succession plan. They had programs. Currently, we are naked. What we are seeing now is a vacuum, is a lack of leadership. There is no leadership. There are human beings occupying positions of leadership, but they are not leaders. They're not. I don't know what they are, but they are not leaders.
What is a leader?
A leader is someone who understands that he is not there for himself. He is there for the people. You are leading the masses of our people. The problem we have today is that these people who are occupying this position assume or think that they are leading themselves and their concubines and those who sing them and those that they have in their pockets. They are not leading the general populace of this country. They are not leading the country. South Africa is a country. It's not a spaza shop or a tuck shop or a farm. It's a country that needs to participate in global politics, that needs to participate even in continental politics. We are not there. Small countries like Rwanda have overtaken South Africa. It's a shame. It's because we lack visionaries. We lack people who have a purpose in life.
Let's take a look at what's going to be happening on Tuesday, where members of the African National Congress will be tasked with voting whether to adopt the report that has since been made public into Phala. How should members of your party vote? As a young person, what are you looking for from the elders?
Look, there's nothing to look up to these old people. None of them are our icons. That's why even today we are still singing about Mandela and Oliver Tambo. We are still singing about Biko. Today, we're not singing about them. 26 years into democracy, they have failed to rise to the occasion. They don't inspire any confidence. The least that they did was to destroy youth activism so that they can cling into power and collapse this country to ashes. Now, there's the ANC of 2017 conference. They told us that this is a renewal. But today, they are comparing this renewal with what they've been attacking the Zuma government. The 9 wasted years. Zuma did that. Yeah, but also Zuma did that. They are comparing themselves with the same thing that they've been attacking. It shows that there's nothing really, you know.
And then you fast forward to the 16th, which is when the conference will kick off. And for a few days, members of the African National Congress will be sitting to decide leadership. If we go beyond the politics, today we're reporting about a number of spaces that have been impacted severely by floods in Soweto, in Ruadiport, etc. You find people who are jostling for positions, but they're not jostling for the hearts of South Africans, and they're not on the ground. Why are you with those people that you say you don't even look up to?
You see, when your father is a witch, he remains your father. Even though you might have accepted God and Christianity, you will never change the fact that your father is a witch. That's the situation we find ourselves as young people. This is not the ANC of our fathers and our parents who went to exile and picked up arms and fought. What is happening today in South Africa is not what the soldiers of the MKA and POCO fought for. This is greediness of highest order, and this is misguided people. People who have been introduced to opulence and extravagant lifestyle, and people who know nothing about humanity and what it means to be a leader. We've always said that leadership is a calling. You must be called. You must be there to serve. You sacrifice. There's nothing more than that. You can't be in a public office and expect to be a billionaire. Then go and sell ice block and tablets to kill cockroaches if you want to be a business person. Public office is a sacrifice. You go there to create and make a name for yourself. We have lost leaders who go there for a legacy. We have lost leaders who go there to touch lives. We don't even remember who was the minister during Jacob Zuma's time. We don't even remember who was the minister during Mbeki's time, because they failed to touch lives. But we remember Pico, we remember Chris Han, we remember a lot of these prophets of South Africa who really came to the world to touch lives, and they left.
Do you remember when you joined the ANC, what attracted you to the organization?
I'm from a family of activists. In as much as I was, part of me is from the royal family and the other part of me is from the politics. So I possess both. I understand tradition, culture, and poverty. I also understand activism. That's what makes me who I am. It is the consequences and conditions on the ground that defines me. And I've been an activist. I remember even in high school when I was an SRC president in high school, I was already an activist. And the university just molded and completed the project.
When did you join the ANC? Why did you join the ANC?
We joined the ANC because of its founding documents, that it was pro-African and it represented the interest of the African people, and it sought to champion and restore the dignity of a black child. And the first membership that I did from the Youth League to the ANC was in 2009.
You spoke of your rich background and essentially saying that this thing of activism is in your blood. Do you feel like you staying in this organization that you have identified to be a mere shell, from what I'm understanding from you, why stay with that organization? You mentioned even if your father is a whatever, he's still your father. But are you then able to change the lives of the people on the ground that you are advocating for? Is this the most effective tool for you to do that?
Well, involvement comes in different ways. There are those who will lead from the front. Then there are those who will lead from the back. One thing that we must never cease to do is to be vocal, is to criticize, is to shape and direct our people. I think that's the role that we have taken, to be critical of the movement. We are not in the pockets of anyone. We are not begging for any position. So we are the rightful people to criticize and shape and direct the ANC. Because young people today are in there they think they will be deployed. I don't want to be deployed. I'm educated enough to feed and survive. Don't need any deployment. I don't rely on anyone but on my credentials, academic credentials, so I can criticize and support where it is necessary. That's my purpose now, to attack.
What should a young person who was born in 1994, who today is 28 years old, understand about your kind of activism and the role that you play? That person, some of them probably unemployed, probably does not have access to higher education because it is so expensive. What do they need to understand about your role in trying to not only make their lives better, but change the system?
Well, the problem that we have in South Africa today is activism. The citizens, they're just despondent. They are accepting things that are not supposed to be accepting. We have become a citizen that is numb. We are understanding. It then destroys the level of participation of the youth. I understand the fact that when you are poor and downtrodden and out there, no one will even take you serious. You know, they have the ideas and the views, but because they are there in the periphery, they can't be heard. We are here today sitting in this, one of the biggest, broadcasting and station in Africa. And we are their voices. If I am come here and defend the indefensible, then I am selling the poor that we are talking about, that don't even have access to social media. We are saying today, young people, their role is to agitate. The role of young people is not to appease the old guards. The role of young people is to annoy these old people, is to make them uncomfortable. But in South Africa today, we have these young people who have made it their job to defend old people who have nothing to offer, who have failed to offer anything for the past 26 years. That's why the country is where it is today, because they have captured the minds of the youth, and the media plays a pivotal role in that. Because you misguide and misdirect young people into things that have nothing to do with their livelihood. You direct them to cheesecake and all these nonsense things that can't assist us. We have serious issues in this country. And as a country, we are lagging behind. And if South Africa fails, SADC fails.
One last question. Been said that the ANC faces an existential crisis. Again, you've pretty much described it as a shell organization. There's nothing there. And so looking at the road to 2024, will you be standing by the organization and campaigning for people to put their X on or next to the ANC, given everything that you have just said, which is not good?
In politics, a day is like a year. Anything can happen between now and 2024. The ANC can find itself. The ANC can cleanse itself. But as it stands, the ANC is infiltrated. There are a lot of people who are there who are not supposed to be there. We were told that certain people are business people. But as I'm sitting right in front of you, I can tell you that Cyril Ramaphosa is not a business person. He knows nothing about business.
What is he?
What is he? Probably he's a mascot. He's a clown. He's masquerading as a business person and as a leader. He's impersonating a leader and a president. And he's not. Rich people, billionaires, business people don't contest power. They influence power in different ways. They influence policies. Immediately when you see a so-called business person contesting a public position, then you must know that that is a puppet being used by white monopoly capital to control the anger of black people and subject black people into abject poverty while white people continue being rich. Because they'll say, yeah, but the leadership is black. This is the stooge of white people, and we are not going anywhere. And I've heard a lot of people saying it's a mafia. It is an insult to the mafia families. It's not a mafia. The real mafias know what the role of a mafia is. When you look at the mafia, they take care of the communities where they come from. They take care of the people so that the people can protect them. Who can protect and defend him? Because all of us are in abject poverty and disarray. We are suffering as a country together with the white people. There is no middle class in South Africa anymore. Education doesn't assist us in any way. We are all poor. We are just credit worth. We can't even afford to pay those debts that we accumulate every day. That's what this guy has subjected to us into. I hope that this conference that we are going to, the ANC will really self-introspect the type of leadership that they have. They have dropped the barometer.
So 2024, you'll be campaigning for the ANC?
Depends who will be there. It really depends. As it stands, there's nothing. If you were to say to me, go to Soweto today, what will I say to those people? What will I say to those young people who are roaming the streets with no hope and nothing? Nyaope drugs is swallowing young people in South Africa. And there's nothing. Young people have resorted into drugs and to being comedians all over social media here. We act like everything is fine. You look at the jokes that people do, they joke about everything and all because they act as if they are fine. We are not fine. We are disturbed. This country is a comedy. We have passed a movie. It's a circus. It reminds me of our days in primary school, of Michael Boswell when we were taken to watch a circus. This is a circus. We are faced with a serious comedy and a circus. And we have people who think that we still have a country. Those people who are in leadership are undermining us. They are disrespecting us and defending the indefensible. Even those who are talking of a renewal. It is a renewal and it is criminal and fraud. If it is people they hate, if it is those that they love, they gang up and to find all sorts of things to defend, things that have not supposed to be defended.
Mcebo Dlamini is a former student activist and a good member and standing of the ANC.
Of course.
Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having us.